Welcome to the Black Fireman. Today we're tackling a question that seems simple, but has a lot more depth than people realize. What is fire? Now, if you Google it, you'll probably see something like a process in which substances combine chemically with oxygen from the air and give out light, heat, and smoke. And sure, that's technically correct. But let's be honest, that definition doesn't really help anybody understand what's actually happening. It sounds like something you'd find in a dusty science textbook. And here at the Black Fireman, we're about making fire simple, real, and easy to understand. So let's start from the ground up. Fire is built on three main ingredients: heat, fuel, and oxygen. Add in a chemical reaction to hold it all together, and you've got what's called the fire tetrahedron. That's the core of everything we deal with in the fire service. To show you how it works, let's take something simple, a candle. You might think, what can I learn from a candle? But trust me, the same principles happening right here in this little flame are the same ones at play in a blazing structure fire. Let's start with fuel. In this case, the candle's fuel is the wax, paraffin wax to be exact. That wax is made of hydrogen and carbon, what we call a hydrocarbon. But here's the thing, solids don't actually burn. You heard me right, the solid wax itself isn't what's burning. What really burns are the gases that are released when the wax gets hot enough. And how do we get those gases? Through a process called pyrolysis. That's just a fancy word for breaking something down with heat. The wax heats up, changes into a vapor, and that vapor is what the flame actually consumes. This is important for us in the fire service because when we walk into a burning building, we're not fighting wood or carpet directly, we're fighting the gases those materials release as they break down. That's why smoke is such a big deal. Now let's move to oxygen. Fire breathes just like we do. The air around us is about 20.9% oxygen, and that's enough to support combustion. If oxygen levels drop below about 16%, fire starts to weaken. Below 10%, it'll go out completely. That's why when we control ventilation on a fire scene, it can either help us by slowing the fire down or make things worse by feeding it more air. Oxygen is like fuel's best friend. It shows up to the party and makes everything louder and hotter. And the last piece of the triangle is heat. Heat is the kickstarter, the spark that sets everything into motion. In the case of this candle, I used a match. That's called an ignition source. But fire doesn't always need a match. Sometimes it's spontaneous combustion, like oily rags that heat themselves up over time. Other times it's friction, electricity, lightning, you name it. Heat comes in many forms, but its job is always the same. Get the fuel to the point where it starts producing those flammable gases. Now let me show you something cool. If I blow this candle out, what do you see? Smoke. But don't let it fool you. That smoke is full of vaporized wax, and it's still flammable. Watch this. If I move a lit match slowly into that smoke, the flame will travel right down the smoke trail and reignite the candle. That's your proof that it's not the solid wax burning, it's the vapor. And this matters because when we're in a structure fire, that heavy black smoke you see rolling across the ceiling isn't just dirty air, it's fuel. It's loaded with gases ready to ignite if they get the right mix of heat and oxygen. That's how flashover happens, when a whole room ignites almost all at once because the gases have reached their ignition point. So to recap, fire is the result of heat, fuel, and oxygen coming together in the right proportions, plus a chemical reaction to keep it going. That's the fire tetrahedron. And whether it's a candle in your house or a fully involved structure fire, the science doesn't change. Understanding this is the foundation of firefighting. It's how we read fire behavior, how we predict what's coming next, and how we keep ourselves safe on the job. Thanks for watching The Black Fireman. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment below.